Tell me about the locked wooden box that you confronted him about.
On several occasions, my mother had complained about seeing some pornography around. So when I made the visit to Milwaukee, I saw this box in the closet in his room. I said, I'm going to open it. And I started going down to the basement to get a tool to open up the box. And he kept complaining that he couldn't even have 1 foot square of his own property to do with what he wants. And I said, I'm going to open it anyway, find out what's in here. Because that's what I thought it was, something related to pornography. And in fact, he convinced me to just wait till tomorrow, Dad, he said. And I'll open it for you then, but just don't do anything now. I don't want to disturb Grandma, because she was in a nearby room and she heard all this commotion that I was going through with Jeff. And so I'm in a way I'm glad, but in a way I'm not glad that I didn't press it, because if I would have opened that box and found what was in there, I think I would have lost it. Then the next day he opened it and he said, see, this is what it was. And in fact, he had stuffed some pornographic magazines in there.
But we now know the box contained a human head.
Yes.
And
it would have stopped. And I said, well, what would you have done, Jeff, if I'd opened it? And he said something like, the jig would have been up. Just something non-emotional, non-committal. I could have, more lives would have been saved.
so, Bob, this is straight from a horror genre script, right?
Yes, this is very much a horror movie kind of thing. The big difference is, in horror movies, whether it's Michael Myers or Freddy Krueger or whoever, they kill fictional people, and those fictional people have fictional relatives. Here, we've got a story which has affected all kinds of people who are still alive and who are still able to see this. I would say one quick thing we haven't mentioned yet, that as much as, and glamorizing almost always happens, especially with a 10-part show, but this film actually does make at least some concerted efforts to talk about some things that I think the other Dahmer movies and others haven't. And that is this idea of, how did he keep getting away with this? Why were the police responses to people who kept calling as bad as they were? When the Reverend Jackson, or the actor that plays Reverend Jackson, comes in the last half of this series, we do begin to get those arguments of policing issues, of underserved communities. And by the time this whole thing is over, I think some consciousness has been raised about how something like this was allowed to happen 17 times over.
Yeah. And Candace, the naivete of this father of saying, okay, I want to know what's in that box, but I'll give you 24 hours so you can empty it, clean it out, stage it, put something in it you want me to see.
He didn't want to know what was in it.
How many people would still be alive today?
And he even admits that.
It's the culpability, Dr. Phil, that I spoke about.
Do you have a story or a question for me? Click the link in the description and tell me what in the world is going on.